Mayday, Mayday, a Coast Guard rescue written by Chris L. Demarest. Subscribe and check out our channel where we have more books, toys, crafts, and more. This is a picture of a rescue swimmer and the name of all of his equipment.
Now, what do we call this? What does it show? This picture shows a diagram. Now, the diagram shows a rescue swimmer with all of the equipment he or she has to wear. These are labels. They name all of the equipment. How would a rescue swimmer use a dry suit? Well, they put that on to keep the water from touching their skin. It helps to keep them warm in the frigid, cold water. Why might they use a helmet? To protect their head from debris and crashing waves. What about the gloves? Why do you think they need gloves? Again, to protect their hands while they're doing their job.
Swimmer and the name of all of his equipment. A 30-foot yacht adrift well out to sea sends, "Mayday, Mayday, please respond to our plea."
What can you do if you want to make sure you understand something in a book? You can raise your hand and ask a question. For this page, you might want to ask a question. You might want to ask, what is the man on the boat holding? What other questions might you ask about this page?
The call is received at the Coast Guard Air Base. An H-60 Hawk has been fueled for the chase.
What type of vehicle will the Coast Guard use for this rescue mission? They're going to use a helicopter. It's called an H-60 Jayhawk. Who is going on the helicopter? Well, there are people. There's a pilot. I bet we're going to learn more about them as we continue reading.
For the chase. The flight mech and swimmer stow gear and belt in. The pilot's checklist done. The rotators now spin.
That is quick today. So looking at this, it says the pilot's checklist is done. Do you use a checklist before you leave home in the morning, like the pilots do? How is it different from pilots? Well, I don't have a list that I check off, but there are certain things I do every morning. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I get dressed. Those are things that I do every single morning. So I would call those my checklist. Do you have items that you do on your checklist? Do you think they're the same or they're different than the pilot's checklist?
And the rotators now spin. In minutes, twin turbines drown out any sound. A short taxi and then wheels lift off the ground.
So where is the helicopter now? Well, the helicopter is flying over, let me see, here we go. The helicopter is flying over the water. It's over rocks. Where do you think it's going? I think it's going out to the boat that called. Do you remember what they call when they're in trouble? Mayday, Mayday. And that, boys and girls, just means help, help.
Lift off the ground. The yacht with sails reefed gets knocked on its side. Then righted, it battles a frightening ride.
How do you think the people in the yacht are feeling right now? They're probably feeling pretty scared. What makes you think so? Well, their boat is tipping all over the place. They're bundled fully in their gear, and it tells us that they're going for a frightening ride. That word frightening means scary or scared. If I were in their shoes, if I were on that boat, I would be very, very scared myself.
On radar, the small boat appears dead ahead.
Where are the pilots? They're in the cockpit of the helicopter. There are many buttons, lights, and pieces of equipment in the helicopter. What do you think the pilot uses all of those buttons for?
And then a flare lights the sky a shimmering red.
So that tells us a flare lights the sky. So what is that streaking in the sky? What is a flare? Now, a flare is a bright light that you can shoot into the sky. And the people in the boat use that flare to catch the attention of the pilot of the helicopter. It's almost like they're saying, hey, hey, over here. They want the people in the helicopter to be able to see where they are. So they light a flare for the helicopter to be able to see where they are down below.
A shimmering red. With wind steadily whipping into a gale, a lowered winch line could entangle the sail. So the swimmer is tapped, he knows his job well. Thumbs up from the mech, he drops into the swell.
So we're looking at this now. What is the swimmer doing? What is this man or woman doing right here? They're jumping into that dangerous water. What do you think he's going to do next? He's probably going to swim to help those sailors on the boat. How will the swimmer find the boat? Well, if you look, the helicopter is shining a light down onto the boat. So the swimmer simply has to follow the light to find the boat so that he can help them.
Into the swell. A perfect drop aids the rescue swimmer's task. His chem light glows brightly atop his face mask.
So where is the swimmer going? He's going to the boat. And what will happen next? Well, he's going to help rescue the swimmers. It tells us that he's wearing a pen light, and it's on his face mask. So if you look at his mask, he has a nice light on there that also helps guide the way so he can see where he's going.
Battling waves, the swimmer reaches the craft, then guides the wary sailors into their raft. Coast Guard
Sorry, friends. Here we go. So where do you think the raft came from? Well, it was probably dropped by the helicopter because if the sailors had it earlier, they probably would have used it. So when the helicopter got there, they probably dropped it down for the sailors to get into and the swimmer to help guide them into it.
Battling waves, the swimmer reaches the craft, then guides the wary sailors into their raft. Next, the flight mechanic calls, "Basket away!" then guides the pilot through the swirling salt spray.
Now think about what is the flight mechanic doing right here? He's letting down a big basket. What do you think that basket is for? I think it's so that they can pick up the people and lift them back up into the helicopter. Let's keep going to see.
Swirling salt spray. From the raft, a sailor drops into the sea and is guided into the basket safely.
All right, friends. Sorry about that. Okay. So if I look at this page, so from the raft, they put the people into the basket, just like we thought. And then they're going to lift that basket to help get them from the water up into the helicopter.
Safely. The pilot, blind to what's happening below, listens to the mech guiding him, steady and slow.
So here's the pilot. It says he's blind to what's happening below, which means he can't see what's happening. His job is to hold the helicopter safe and steady. And then the mech, or the man who's here with the basket or in the doorway, is the one who's guiding him. He's reporting into his microphone to the pilot to say, hold steady, to the left, to the right, haul him up. He's the one, the mech or mechanic is the one giving them orders based on what he can see down below.
One by one, the sailors are hoisted aboard. Then a last drop before the basket is stored.
Now the letters on the bottom of the helicopter say USCG. That stands for United States Coast Guard. Why do you think the letters are on the bottom of the helicopter? Because when the helicopter is flying and you're looking from down below, all you see in that helicopter is the bottom. So that's a really great place to put the letters because the people who are down below and in the water will know that the Coast Guard has arrived.
The wary, cold sailors are strapped into seats as the Jayhawk then beats a hasty retreat.
So it tells us that they are weary sailors, weary, cold sailors. So that word weary means tired. So those sailors are probably tired because it took a lot of work and a lot of energy to help keep them safe during that emergency. So they're tired and they're cold. Why do you think they're cold? Well, they've been down in that water a long time.
Hasty retreat. Now back at the base, parked just off the runway, the refueled Jayhawk awaits the next Mayday.
So where is the Jayhawk now? That Jayhawk helicopter is back at base. What do you think the helicopter and workers do when they aren't on a rescue mission? Well, it looks like maybe they're doing some maintenance. They're checking the rotors. They're filling up the gas tank. They're probably checking to make sure that all of their equipment is ready and ready to go when they get another Mayday call. Do you remember what Mayday means? Help! Help!
Yay! This is a picture of the H-60 Jayhawk and the name of all of its parts.
What does this diagram show? The last diagram we looked at showed the sailor or the pilot and all of the gear that they had to use in a rescue. What is this diagram showing? This diagram is showing a helicopter. It shows the type of helicopter used. It also shows all of the equipment or the parts that are used. Let's take a look at this door right here. This is where the basket comes out. Where does the pilot sit in this helicopter? He sits up front, right in here, and that's called the cockpit. So here is a cockpit step. That's where the pilot steps up to get into the helicopter. And they sit here, and that's how they fly the helicopter.
It says here that the length is over 64 feet long. And this is a picture of the flight crew and what they wear and all the names of their equipment.
So what does this diagram show? This diagram shows a member of the flight crew. It shows a Coast Guard helicopter pilot. He has a pad of paper and a pen on his knee. Why do you think he needs paper and a pen? Maybe he's taking notes or he's writing down new information that he might have. Now, the pilot wears a life vest that can be inflated with air. Now, the pilot never leaves the helicopter. He's always inside ready to fly. Why does he need a life vest? Because just like us, if we were to go on a boat, we would also want to have a life vest on, just in case something happens. We hope that it never will, but the life vest is there to protect us in case of an emergency, just to keep us safe.